Hi there, my name is Sydney, and today I'm just going to be telling you a little bit about why I'm pursuing animation and why it's one of my biggest dreams. So, first off, I want to kind of just take this back to when I was like younger, which I'm sure you hear a lot. It's very typical, but it's kind of important. So, as you can tell, maybe by my southern accent, I grew up in Lineville, Alabama, and this was a very small town. And as you can tell by most small towns, they don't have a lot of funding going into their schools. Well, the school I went to was really poor, so no money was being put into the art classes and things like that. So there was really no way to have a creative outlet in a town like that. But even then, I was always really drawn to cartoons and art and things like that. And I would just have so many notebooks that I would just fill with drawings. And there wasn't any professional way that I could, get any help with that. Well, eventually we moved to Florida, and that opened up a whole stream of opportunities for me. I went to a school, and it was a pretty all right school, but it had art classes, which is something my previous school never had. And then I started, taking these art classes, and I was drawing and I was working. And all of a sudden, there were all these things. It's like, you can get better at anatomy, you can get better at landscapes. And it was like, whoa, blew my mind. And another very important moment to me when I was younger was back when I was watching Cartoon Network. This was around the time I had moved to Florida. They had the behind the scenes look at Regular Show, which was one of my favorite shows. I'm sure you've seen it. It's very funny. And it was talking about how they made the show and specifically about the storyboards. And it was different from other shows in the way that it used post it notes as its storyboards. And I thought that was really cool. First off, I had no idea animation was a thing. That really opened up my eyes. I was like, wow, you just don't think of it and it's there. But then I started thinking about the process behind it. And storyboarding seemed really interesting to me because these little pictures that they were drawing became these super fluid and expressive, people. So that was around the first time I started thinking about animation. Well, when I got to high school, I was in a lot more high level art classes, and it was something that I just continued doing. I wanted to learn more and do more. I hadn't really put much thought into how I was going to put my art into my career, though. Well, once it came time for college and things like that, you start getting all these pressures around 11th grade year. My parents are like, all right, so you're going to be an engineer, right? You're going to be a nurse. And I'm just looking at everybody like, um, I'm not good at much else besides art, so I really don't know what you want me to do here. So eventually I start researching and looking, and then I think of that short again from Cartoon Network about the behind the scenes look at Regular Show. And I was like, huh, that was always very interesting to me. So I start actually looking into animation as a career and as a degree, and things just start clicking. I'm like, there is so much to do here. I mean, there's VFX works, there's storyboarding, there's 3D animation, 2D animation, character design, game design. It's an insane amount of jobs. So I decided that I was, going to start taking it seriously. So I start taking AP art. I want to hone my art skills more. I start taking dual enrollment art classes and things like that. And then eventually I decide that I'm going to transfer to UCF since it's top five for animation programs in the country. And now that I'm here, I'm actually really considering what to do. And the main goal was to be a storyboarder. And now I'm like, well, it's time to start expanding my horizons. Right now, I'm currently really loving my 3D modeling class, and I'm hoping that's something I can do in the future is being able to create characters of my own and express emotions and feelings and tell stories that I've always wanted to tell. So I'd say that's about it, honestly, for my hopes and dreams. It's more of a story than anything, but I think it's important to hear, the full background before you see what the vision is. Right. Thank you.